Hi, I'm Dr. Samantha Rush. I am founder of Marvelous Women Cards and host of this fantastic podcast that, as I always say, is the joy of my life. On this episode, we are talking about voice, different kinds of voice, different uses for voice, and we're lucky enough to have an expert in voice to be having this conversation with us. Enjoy. Welcome to Marvelous Women, the podcast. On this episode, we have the wonderful Sally Prosser joining us. Welcome, Sally.
Sam, it's so great to be here.
It's so funny when you sent me that message and said, "Oh, hey, what's going on with the podcast?" I'm like, "Oh my God, how have you not been on the podcast yet?" Because you and me have known each other for quite a while, and I remember being in one of your workshops at UQ on the Careers Day for the MBA students in 2019. That's how long we've known each other, and I'm
Wow.
so
And we ran an
excited.
event together at the
We
Brisbane Business
did.
Hub as well.
We did. So how have you not been on this podcast yet? I don't know, but the day has arrived and I'm so very grateful for your time.
Likewise, especially as a big lover of the Marvelous Women deck.
Love it. Love it. And it's wonderful to know that other people love them as much as I do. They certainly came from and have a very special place in my heart. But let's rip off the Band-Aid. Sally Prosser. This is your, no, I'm not doing This Is Your Life. Who are you?
Well, Sam, the most exciting thing to add to my little introduction at the moment is I am an author.
Oh, I love that.
So a published
Congratulations.
author. Thank you. And I believe that our identities do shift and change throughout time. For me, I've always been a truth teller, a speaker, a communicator, and that's really been a theme that's gone through my whole life. And a lover of Taylor Swift, which also has a card in the deck, I noticed.
Oh, brilliant. Tay Tay. One of the things that I love about Tay Tay is just her uh not her confidence in herself. There's a book that I read that was about, examining the decisions of Taylor Swift, the business decisions and the life decisions of Taylor Swift. And I already thought a lot of her, but when I read this book, I just kind of went, you are a really remarkable person that you just so stick to your guns and you won't be told what to do. You won't be put in a box. You won't be held back. And you really stand your ground and you use the vehicle of your fame to help others, but also to stand your ground. I think we could probably talk about Taylor Swift for a long time, but this is about you. So tell us about what you love about Taylor Swift.
I love that exactly all of those reasons that you said. She has this ability to bring so many different people together with such a high energy. I went to the Eras tour twice. I was a supporter of her before then. She has this amazing ability to allow the emotional processing of other people through her music. And that's what we really do when we use our voice as a voice and public speaking coach. The value of us telling our stories, using our voice like right now, is we're able to facilitate a feeling in other people,
Yes.
give them words that better describe what they're feeling than they can give themselves. I was having a conversation with my sister over the weekend, and she was like, what's that lyric? Taylor Swift, casually cruel in the name of being honest. That's really what happened. And I'll find in lots of situations that she'll have a way of saying things that I can't find the words for myself. And that's as a communicator. So
Mm.
I really like that. The other thing I like, or more that I dislike what people do, and I feel like I defend her a bit, is they go, oh, it's all right for her. She had a rich father in finance. Her mother was in marketing. The whole
Mm.
family moved to Nashville. They did this, they did that. And it reminds me of how often when people are out there having success and doing what they love, how quick other people are to just create reasons for why they have their success and perhaps they don't. I'm not really sure what the reason is.
Yeah.
But it's like you've got people around you who support you. All power to you.
Yes.
You've got
Yeah,
fans
it's
who love you. Good on you, rather than trying to chip away
yes. It's
as
so
an as a
funny. It's so funny you say that, Sally. I was just reading this morning about some of the comments have been made about our Australian of the Year, our astronaut, saying, well, she's not really she's not really an astronaut because she's
He
never
hasn't
been
even
to
been to
space. Yeah,
space. I saw
yeah.
that.
And it's kind of like, how about you just say, this is fantastic. This is a world first. This is a first for Australia. Our future is so bright. We've got this amazing person. But no.
Well, Australia especially, snip, 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 the tall poppy. It's like
Yeah.
we really want you to do well, but not too well. So that's yeah, interesting.
Which
And
is a,
also I feel like Taylor Swift represents a lot of what girlhood is
mm,
and a feminine celebration. And I'm
mm,
really a big fan of that. And there are these perceptions, oh, she's a little pop star, you know. Oh, I'm a successful woman in business. I like Taylor Swift, and that's why when I went over to London, I made a point, partly because I wanted to as well, but I flew over there. I flew first class. I wore my Taylor Swift shirt in the first class cabin.
mm,
I went over there for 5 days, went to the concert, ran my London event, and came home. And part of that is to change this perception of of girly things not being a weakness.
yeah. Yeah.
And I was changing friendship bracelets with people, you know, all over. And it was this really big community moment. And yeah, I guess part of it is not just standing up for Taylor Swift, but standing
Yeah.
up for femininity and standing
Mm,
up for kind of like Barbie, you know, standing up for things that have traditionally perhaps been perceived as lesser. It's
yes.
okay for men to go and cheer at the football, but it's
Yeah.
silly for girls to go to a concert.
Yeah.
And we're not about that.
No, and I think that whole that whole thing about togetherness and community and helping each other and building each other up is so important for us to have as women, and that's one of the reasons that that this podcast is here. I remember that fantastic event that you ran with me a couple of years ago now. The comments that people were telling me afterwards, and one of them I remember so clearly. A young woman, she was maybe mid-20s. She came over to me afterwards and she said, I'm walking out of here 5 centimeters taller than I when I walked in here. And thank you so much for that. And that's not just me, that's everybody in the room. That's you, that's Beck, who was the other collaborator. That's
Mm.
everybody who was there. I mean, is that so hard?
Yeah, and what if it's like the principle of increase, if we could use our words and our ways to lift people up rather
Mm,
than cut people down. As you
mm,
say, if we were to say how awesome that we've got somebody, a woman in STEM out there. I love the way she shared about how we need less bright minds and more curious minds to enter into STEM. It was really interesting. She said with sport, you can be the weakest player on the field, it doesn't matter, you're having a go. Whereas there's this perception with STEM that you need to be top of the class to go into
yeah,
maths and science, that you need to be
yeah.
super smart. And through that idea, it's cutting out a lot of people from an industry that they could
Mm.
be adding a lot to. So I thought that was a really fantastic analogy and a really good speech.
And I think it's a really good food for thought for those of us, and not just about STEM, but of anything that we might want to try or anything that we might want to do. You don't have to be the best. You just give it a go, experience it. You don't have to be the best. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, Sally, this we've got voice and using our voice, but we also have our voice and that voice inside our head that maybe is telling us, you're no good at this,
Mm.
but maybe you should give this up, or maybe you shouldn't even try. What are your thoughts on, which part of our voice should we be amplifying, and which
Mm.
parts should we not not eliminate? Because I don't think that's possible. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the physical voice is the megaphone for the inner voice, isn't it? So there's a lot in the book Voice Print about getting those inner voices under control. What I would say is if the negative stories are coming in, who are you to do this? What will people think? You're
Yeah.
going to sound stupid. those voices aren't yours. Those voices have been planted there.
Mm,
So they're plants by your upbringing, by other people, perhaps even ancestral in some ways. These stories get passed on through generations. Your true inner voice is your biggest fan. The voice that says, yeah,
mm,
you can do this. The voice that says, you've got this, I believe in you. That's you. All of the
mm.
negative voices, we attach this identity to them and say, oh, but that's our voice of, and then sometimes it's trying to keep us safe.
Yeah.
There's this the idea of, we don't want to be running into the fire, and that can come and wreak havoc if
Yes.
we're standing in front of people. But the
Yes.
reality is standing in front of people to share your voice is not the same as, being attacked by the tiger. And
No.
most of these stories have been planted there. And that's the key part of my work, Sam, actually, is to untangle that
Mm,
that inner voice, because it's the stories that we tell ourselves and the
yeah.
voice inside our head that's going to be our biggest supporter or our biggest saboteur.
Mm, so true. And I think that idea of thinking about those voices as stories. I mean, what happens if we're reading a book and we're not enjoying it and it's not, entertaining for us? We put it down, right? We stop reading it. But why? Why? Why do we give so much airtime to these voices and these stories
I know, I
that
love that you said
actually,
that.
yeah, it's so counterintuitive.
I had this brilliant coach once, and I was sharing something about, I don't know, something in business, and she said, "Well, yeah, that's one way to describe it. That's one way to look at it." And she kind of
Mm,
looked at me baffled that I would think of it that way. She's like, "Well, wouldn't you think this?" And it's the same thing with coaching with speaking. So somebody will say, I've never been good at public speaking. Everybody looks at me. I'm no good at it. My voice is really, really annoying. And I don't even know what I'm talking about. I go off on these tangents and everyone tunes out. And I go, hmm, okay. That's one way to look at it. Or it could be that you've got something really valuable to say. You've got a voice
yeah,
people want to listen to, a message worth sharing, and you absolutely deserve to be there sharing it.
yeah.
Like it's the truth is really only ever an interpretation.
Yes, absolutely. Well, then what is truth? Truth is my perspective or my perception, right? And everyone has a slightly different one. So I'm really curious,
Mm.
but also I think would be really helpful for our listeners, for those of us that maybe have that same perspective, and maybe for the women in the listeners group who were thinking about, oh, I can't go into that meeting room or around that table and I can't say that and no one's going to listen to me. Like, what would be your top three ways to change that mindset to go from, nobody's going to listen to me, I've got nothing, everyone stares at me, to going, actually, yeah, it feels uncomfortable, but I do have something of value? What would be your top three tips?
Yeah, the first one I'd say is entertain the opposites. And
Mm,
entertain the opposites is this thing where there are parts of the world that are happening, right now where it's very dangerous for women to speak up. There
yeah,
are parts of the world where there are meetings that you wouldn't even be invited to, let alone asked to speak at,
yeah.
where you maybe would be there, but you would just be taking notes and you would be punished for speaking.
Mm,
So a lot of it is so entertain the opposite is go, wow, I have the opportunity to be able to be in this place, to have a voice. I have a phone with an account where I can share what I'm saying. So I'm not going
yeah,
to squander that. I'm definitely going to
yeah.
do that. So entertain the opposites is a really good strategy.
Mm,
The next one is the younger self. So would you be saying that if it was your daughter or if it was your younger self?
mm,
And if you're really struggling with this identity piece, because it's a big thing to untangle, I
it
say
is.
step outside yourself and be the advocate for the little girl inside you.
Mm,
Be the advocate. Would you say to the little girl inside you, no, don't to say that, don't do that?
yep,
They don't want to hear you. You would say, no, I've got this, I've got you. We're going to get through this together, and I am going to advocate for you. Like
yeah,
if it was I don't have any, I don't have children, but I think of my nieces. If something happened to them at
yes,
school, I feel like I'd be one of those meddling parents, actually. So maybe where I'd be like, I'd just come down and I'd be like, you stay away from her, which is probably not the best for, the way they're being raised. But you feel that sense of I'm not speaking for myself. I'm advocating for every woman who comes after me. This is why it's so great that we've got somebody like we do for Australian of the Year. Because
Yes.
look what that shows every young girl that might want to go into being an astronaut. It's
Yes.
just you can't be what you can't see.
Yeah. So
So that's
true.
that. And then the third one I'd say, this is a more practical one. Well, actually, they're all very practical, but this
They're
is
all
not
pretty
an
practical. Yes.
breathe. Breathe. Your breath is the foundation of voice. You can't think clearly if you haven't got oxygen. You can't
Yes.
inspire others if you don't first inspire yourself. So
Yes.
you'll be amazed what a few nice deep breaths can do
Yeah.
before you go into a room and speak.
Yeah, as well as, kind of calming you down, making you feel more grounded and mental space. I think that they are such really great, practical, but really powerful. There's two pieces, practical and powerful tips that I think anyone who's listening to this, and even if you're okay with speaking, I think that those tips are really, really helpful.
Yeah, and
So
that's why I really would recommend voice print because it is full of practical exercises you can do.
yes, yeah, practical
Mm.
all the way, all the way. And I believe you've got some cards too. Is that right, Sally?
I sure do. I love my Marvelous Women cards. I use them in my Speak Up for Your
I
Business
meant
workshop.
your voice print cards.
Oh, my own cards. Oh my
Yes.
God. Hang on a sec. But Sam, that's so funny. I immediately thought of your cards. But yes, I do. I do have cards as well. Yes, the voice print codes, Oracle cards. Here they are.
Yes. I
So
love
they
that.
are really beautiful.
Obviously,
And
I'm a fan of cards, obviously. They're
yeah, they're beautiful and gold
beautiful.
on the outside.
Yes, beautiful.
And they're designed to give you that little pep in your step voice style.
Yeah.
Mm.
Pep in your step. What does a pep in your step voice style mean?
I've literally never used that phrase before. It just came to me in the moment. I, you know, we have those inner voices you mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
and we always have that voice inside that believes that we can do it,
Mhm.
that believes we have what it takes.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just need to amplify that voice so we can go out there with the pep in the step of yes, I
Yes.
will speak. So, for example, if I was to choose one of the cards now, let's go with, oh, well, the top one is bring the good vibes.
Love
Bring
that.
the good vibes. And in the description, I talk about the vibrations. Bring the
Mm.
vibrations of your voice into the room. And, you know, I think that's a good card for both of us today, actually. Bring the good
I
vibes.
I totally agree. And I think that thinking about vibration and the voice, the vibration, I think there's a few different angles to that. One is the good vibes. And thinking about things from and talking about things with a positivity lens. But I think the other one is actually literally the vibration of your vocal cords, and the purr of a cat is supposed to have a lot of healing properties, and so too for our voice. Is there anything that you've kind of got in your back catalogue of knowledge and skills that can just talk a little bit to the power of vibration in our vocal cords, whether that be from a calming perspective or from a confidence perspective or a grounding perspective?
Oh, absolutely. So, from a healing perspective, when we hum, which is the beautiful feeling of the vocal cords vibrating, if you put your hands on your throat and hum, you can feel them vibrating. It increases nitric oxide in our system, which is our natural antiviral, antibacterial quality. So if you feel your sinuses or something coming on, a humming practice really helps. And that's part of when
Yeah.
I feel the niggle, I'm onto the honey, the lemon tea, and the daily humming. So definitely great for health. It also activates the vagus nerve, the Las Vegas nerve, which parties all over the body, and that is what takes, that's what I call it, the Las Vegas nerve.
I love it.
It takes us from the fight or flight to the rest and digest, so it is really calming to hum.
Yes.
And Oh, I have a whole chapter in the book on vibrations. It actually
Love
starts
it.
with Taylor Swift because they found that when choirs sing together or people sing together, their heartbeats synchronize. And their
Yeah.
heartbeats synchronize because it's the breathing synchronizing. So that's why it actually does create this collective feeling that you can't get anywhere else.
Mm,
So that's the beautiful quality of singing in unison. And we can use the humming and vibration to find our true frequency, to find
mm,
our natural note, you could call it. So often
mm.
people are speaking in a way that they think they should speak,
Yeah.
the voice that has never really been connected with their body. It's just been stuck up in their head because there's been so much sort of trauma and conditioning that they've been taught this is the voice they have. When we use the breath and the vibrations to bring it back into the body, it's like for the first time you've discovered there's more than one note on the piano.
Yeah. So powerful. So powerful. And I think that sitting with and just letting happen is so important to, calm, confidence, and all of those good things that bring the good vibes and that share the good vibes. I think that's another angle to the good vibes.
Oh, absolutely. We're constantly picking up on energy from other people and
Yes.
places. And you say, oh, that person gives me a bad vibe, or that room is a bit, we're constantly feeling these vibrations.
Mm,
Scientists believe that there are way more frequencies that we're unaware of than we're
mm,
aware of. So there's
mm.
so much happening. And we have this powerful vibration within us, which is why when we speak with our authentic voice in a way that feels
Mm.
good with the breath flowing through our voice, we do resonate with the audience who are meant to hear us, with the people
Yes.
who tune into our voice. They actually feel it in their body. They don't just hear it with their ear, which is why with the rise of I feel really confident about this work because being
Mm.
able to use your authentic organic human voice is becoming more and more and more the competitive advantage
Yeah.
because it holds codes, you could say. It carries the
Yeah.
emotion of the moment in a way that a machine will never do, even
Yeah.
if it gets the pronunciation and the pausing and the articulation and all these things as machines get better and better.
Mm.
I I'm going to write an article about this called the uncanny valley of voice, where they find the
Mm.
uncanny valley is when something looks sort of like it's human, but it's not really. It gives us this
Yes.
uneasy feeling in our body,
Yes. The
and voice is the
heaves.
same. We'll have
Yes.
that uneasy feeling when it's a voice that we know hasn't left the body of a fellow human.
Mm. I think it's such an interesting few years that we're in for, where there's this kind of, it's like an accelerator break that's happening in the world of technology and AI at the moment. Yes, push, 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 wait. And I think we're in for a really interesting time. But I also subscribe to your view there, Sally. I think that the value of humanity, um, will increase the more that there is, and the perception, our perception of something that's created by a human versus a machine. They're two very, very different things. So I think that, I agree with you that the value of being human, and authentically human and thoughtfully human and intentionally human is only going to increase. So let's go back to, where you went when I started asking about your cards. And so, marvelous women, if you looked up marvelous woman in the dictionary, whose face would you see and why?
Oh, well, is this choosing from the card deck?
You can choose from the card deck, you can go wild.
I feel like I am surrounded by marvelous fa women and marvelous
Mm.
faces, including right now. And when we see the marvelousness in every person we meet, and especially
Mm.
every woman we meet,
Yes,
life is so much better.
I agree.
All of us have a marvelousness waiting to come out. And Sam, I do have your card here. I love that you included yourself
Ah,
in, and your No Aski, No Getty is
yes.
one of my favorites. I love this because so often women go, oh, well, I haven't really done anything, or who am I to be a marvelous woman. I'm not somebody that's going down in the history books, which you will be, Sam, so I'm glad that you included it. But I feel like it's a real representation of don't make excuses. Step forward and be the marvelous
Mm,
woman now. Be the marvelous woman in your family, in your job, in your life,
yeah. Neighborhood,
in your
community.
neighborhood.
Yeah. All those
Whatever that
things.
looks like to you. It's not saying everybody goes on to be the
Be an
next Oprah
astronaut.
Winfrey. Who actually got a copy of my book. I handed it to Oprah
I
Winfrey.
know. That's so amazing.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, lots of marvelous women. The card that I would like to choose, I've got Taylor Swift. I've also got Joan of Arc. When I was younger
Nice.
doing speech and drama, I did lots of speech and drama when I was younger, and Joan of Arc was one of the characterizations I did. So I learned a piece from the play and I came on stage and I performed it. And I was a teenager, and so part of the research for the piece is learning about Joan of Arc.
Mm,
And it says here, listen to your bravest voice. And I'll never forget when I finished at the Eisteddfod. I don't think I got first place. I think I got some place. I remember the adjudicator wrote in the report, I could hear Joan of Arc come through your voice. Great vocal work, you know. And I guess I've always had this resonant voice again, which is a story, isn't it? Because I actually have developed it, but I tell myself that I've always had this voice.
yes.
And
Yeah.
then the quote here is listen to your bravest voice. How would we speak if we were to step into character of the marvelous women that we admire?
Yeah.
If we were to pull a card and say, right, how would Oprah speak? How would Joan of Arc speak?
Yeah.
It really helps us step into our vocal power, similar to stepping into the advocate if we're going into the meeting.
Mm,
Why are we using this voice that's perhaps weak and doesn't have gravitas and doesn't leave a voice print? Is it because we've just always told us that's the voice of the character we're playing? And what if we
mm,
stepped into another character? And what
mm.
is the sound that could come out?
That's that's a mic drop right there. Is just that that uh that question to ask yourself before you step into something. And I guess that's similar to, what would X do? That like what would depending on your persuasion, some people like what would Jesus do? Some people like if you're a fan of the was it the girl with the dragon tattoo, it's what would Elizabeth Salander do, which is a
Yeah,
very different kind of action. So that mindset or that reframing, what would this person do? I think is so powerful.
it is. I've had a student just say to me this week, they had to go into a meeting and they were like, what would Sally Prosser do?
I love that.
That is the power that we have when we're speaking, communicating with the people around us.
Yeah,
You know, when I get that voice of doubt, because I believe that we all do, that's like,
we
oh,
do.
come on, are you doing enough? This and that. I've got to remember there are people that are listening. There are always people listening to your voice. And for anyone who's on social media, I just want to reiterate a story you may have heard before. So often the people listening are not the people liking and commenting. So if you feel like you're not getting the likes and comments, like please like and comment. You know, it's nice, isn't it? But just because they're not coming in doesn't mean there are people who aren't listening.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. I've had such an amazing chat with you. We're almost out of time. Can you believe it? It's so quick. But what I'd love to ask you to leave our listeners with is like, do you have a if on not if on the Sally Prosser Marvelous Women card, what's your wisdom that you would share? So like no Asky, no Getty. What is yours?
Oh, and this is a question I can really answer now because I have written the book and written the cards, and this is what the exercise really was if I was being quoted. I remember when I first wrote the book, I put all other people's quotes at the start of the chapter, and it was my
Yeah,
editor that said, hang on, well, what about your quotes? And it
I
really
love
challenged
that.
me to lean into that.
I love
So
that.
I've got, don't just speak, leave an imprint that lasts. It's not the impact we're making while we're speaking, it's the impact we leave once we stop.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can see that feeding in really well with the what would X do? Like what is it I want to leave people with? And rather than focusing on the act of speaking and being nervous or not being confident or whatever, really focusing on how am I going to leave them? I
Yeah.
really love
Don't
that.
speak to be heard, speak to be remembered. You heard it
Yeah.
here first. That's a line that I have in my upcoming TEDx talk.
I love it. Don't speak to be heard,
Speak to
speak
be
to be
remembered.
remembered. I think that sounds like a really great title for this podcast, Sally. What do you think?
Love it.
You've helped me do my job. I love that. I love that. I unfortunately we are out of time, but I want to say thank you so much for sharing your expertise, your knowledge, your stories, your wisdom with our listeners today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been wonderful.
Sally Prosser, you are truly an expert in voice. I hope that for all of you listening that you've managed to get some tips and some really good thoughts about how you can use your voice better. Until next time, make sure you stay marvelous.